Greetings to you, our dear subscribers. We are the English Masters. Must say we're very sorry for the time we've taken off, although we've used the time to help our JAMB and then WIAC candidates prepare for the examinations. And with the Utme commencing today, we can only say we wish these candidates no less than the best. Well then, we still want to use this class to see how we can help a number of candidates, especially considering answering comprehension questions. Well, we've discussed a number of tips to help our candidates see how they can tackle questions in this aspect of the English. Okay, and then we also want to see how we can visit some of the topics we have treated over time but not discussing them at length. Well, we've said earlier that different teachers or tutors would use different methods or give you different methods or approaches to answering comprehension questions. But the main aim is for you to be able to answer these questions well. Well, what are some of the tips you want to remember? 1. We said read the questions before the passage. Well, this helps a lot. Why? It helps you save time, and it also helps you to look for the words while reading the passage. You know what you're looking for while reading the passage. Of course, you remember that you're not reading passages as if you were studying for examination. You're actually looking for answers to questions waiting. So what you do is you go through the questions first before reading the passage. This helps a lot. Then point number 2. You're reading the questions. Sometimes a question can be lengthy. So you may not remember word for word what a question is saying. So what do you need to do in that situation? Well, point number 2 says, take note of keywords. So while reading the questions, you want to focus on the keywords. Now such keywords could be name of people, of places, or of things mentioned in the passage or there in the question rather. So you take note of these keywords, and then these keywords, though, could be replaced in the passage. Now, a name of a person mentioned in the question could have been replaced several times with a pronoun in the passage. A word may have been replaced, like a verb, may have been replaced with other synonyms. Okay? So, once you understand a keyword, when you see a similar word used in the passage, you are able to identify it easily. So that's point number 2. Point number 3, understand topic sentences. Well, for examination conditions, most cases, you have the topic sentence appearing as the first sentence in your paragraph, in each of the paragraphs. So, if this is the case with your own examination, then you try to understand the topic sentence. If you well understand the topic sentence in each paragraph, it gives you an edge. You may have well understood what the entire paragraph is saying. That does not mean you aren't going to read other sentences in a paragraph. No. What do you need to do then with the subsequent sentences in each paragraph? Well, the next point says you must or you have to scan and skim through subsequent sentences in a paragraph. After identifying the topic sentence, you understand what the topic sentence is saying. Next, you don't want to take much time reading through other sentences. Your eyes quickly roll through other sentences. What are you doing at this time? You are quickly searching for these keywords you have identified while going through the questions. If you find a similar word, you quickly take note of it. You highlight or you quickly take note. So this actually gives room for suspected answers. And then don't forget that you must answer your questions based on the passage. You want to be very careful not to put sentiment into answering comprehension questions. the passage may be a familiar one and you're tempted to want to answer questions based on your feelings or what you know, but that's wrong. Try to answer questions strictly based on the passage. Sometimes you have words like deduce or infer. Even though a question requires you to deduce or to infer, it's not asking you to give a cause for an effect. Rather, it's still asking to know how much you are able to understand comprehension passages and how you can well interpret what you hear or you read from an English user. So that's another key point you want to take note of. But in some cases, though, you don't understand some words, and this goes a long way to obscure your understanding of the entire passage or a particular question. Well, that's not a big problem because, of course, you understand at least 90 or 80 something percent of words in this passage. So a few words or just few words should not fail you or should not affect you that much. Well, you want to remember that the last point now is contextual meaning of words, of course, supersede individual meaning or dictionary meaning rather. Contextual meaning. So if there is a word you don't understand its meaning, but is there in the passage or the question, what do you need to do? Well, you need to ask the surrounding words. What are the surrounding words saying about this particular word I don't know? That's contextual meaning. Of course, you want to remember that most words are polysemic. It means a word can have different meaning and application. So if this is the case, even though you understood or you have the meaning of a particular word, and then you think you want to use it because you know just one definition of that word, that may not be enough. Its usage in that particular passage may be different. So you don't want to make mistakes in this situation. You want to ask the surrounding words. You want to find out what are the surrounding words saying about this particular word. So that can go a long way to help you approach comprehension questions. Please don't forget the points we have mentioned. We don't want to go back again because we still have one or two things to talk about. Well, a particular student have sent some questions while going through CBT training, the test, and then he found some things quite difficult, I guess. Well, as we mentioned some time ago to some of you, we said that register questions from register is you can actually excel in this area if you've been a wide reader of English materials. So if you've been versatile, if you've been reading articles, you've been reading books, you've been reading newspapers, you've been reading any material that comes your way, written in English language, whether it has to do with your intended let's say field of study, that's your intended discipline or not, but you just enjoy reading, that will go a long way to help you tackle questions from register. Now a passage is given and you have spaces provided and you need to fill those spaces with words provided in option forms. So how would you approach this situation? Well, of course, if you've been a very good reader, as I said earlier, you will do well. But if you're not, well, all you still need to do is to use the context. Okay, let the context help you in this case. But in some cases, you have the words provided. The options you have are kind of similar. So that particular question may require you to provide a field-specific word. A field-specific word. For example, if it is if it passages from a medical field, you can have one or two words that are almost the same, and then you want to choose any word randomly. But no, they need a particular word from that field to fill that space, and that word will still be in the options. All the options may be the same. All the words may mean the same thing, but you need that specific word to fill that space. That is now field specific. For register, Of course, if you have a passage that is taken from, let's say, agriculture, then now you have questions. So if you're familiar with agricultural terms, then you will do well. So that's it with register. We just hope you a passage that comes to you is one that will be a little bit okay for you to tackle. Okay. Well, you don't want to forget that we discussed a number of other topics. Okay. You want to remember that we talked about determinants, that is, those words you use before a noun, okay, in your sentences, and then in that aspect we talked about definite articles, indefinite articles, and then all other determinants. Okay, we mentioned determinants you use with singular count noun, plural count nouns, and mass count noun. And in that case, we said the only challenge you may have is your inability to identify mass count noun. So we gave a list of mass count nouns, that is uncountable nouns. Some people don't know. We said equipment should not take an S. Of course, when you have equipment and you know that it's a mass count noun, you should know what kind of determiner should go with it. Okay, you have equipment and it's uncountable. So how would you say many equipment? So that's not correct. Okay, but you can have some equipment. Okay, and then you have advice, that is the one with the CE. You remember that? Okay, you have information, several other we have mentioned. So please, if you've attended our classes and then you have this note, please refer to it before your class. And then we talked about preposition. Okay, now prepositions are actually, sometimes most people have problems with prepositions because these words, they don't change over time. They're just the same over time. Okay, there is actually no adjustment made to prepositions, and that's the same thing with your understanding of these words. They're quite simple, but the application is wide. So this poses a lot of challenge to many people. Well, what did we say? Well, you want to remember that prepositions may refer to a location or direction, a place, or whatever. But your understanding of what the preposition is doing in the particular at the particular point will go a long way to help you understand its application. Okay, so you want to use, of course, at. For example, 80 can be for place. Okay, it can also be for time. Okay, if I said an event will happen at a particular time or it happened at a particular time, that's for time. Okay, but if I said the man is at, okay, now is at, it's a place. Okay, where is that person is at a particular time. So you see that these prepositions have different applications. Okay, then if you said now your usage of preposition can go a long way to determine the meaning of your entire sentence. For example, we said that if you're on a bus, of course, it means that that bus is a commercial one. You're going to pay for it, for the services rendered by the driver. Okay, but if you're in a car, it's of course your car and you aren't paying, right? And then if you are on your bed or you are on bed, of course, it means you're not really prepared to sleep. You still are maybe doing one or two things, but you are on bed. Okay, but that does not mean there is no such as being in bed. But when you're in bed, it means you are almost ready to sleep. You're almost covered with your clothes and you're prepared to sleep. So there's a wide difference. So what you say at the time might go a long way to determine the meaning of the entire sentence, your usage of preposition. So we won't say much about that in that aspect because we discussed a whole lot of topics as well. We talked about English concord, which is generally agreement, okay? And then we discussed a number of rules, okay? Now, one of the questions you sent, I think one of our students sent, was actually as well as. Okay, so something like as well as. Okay, we said that whenever as well as is used, okay, there are other words like it. You can have like, in collaboration, association with all of these words along with it, okay. If you have them in sentences and you have a noun or a pronoun and then one of them is used and then a noun or a pronoun, the first noun or pronoun before the usage of this word, before this word, is actually the one you consider for choosing your subject. So if we said let's say Ruth, okay, as well as her sisters, okay. Now Ruth is actually what we consider for choosing the verb. So Ruth is beautiful. So Ruth as well as her sisters is beautiful, not are beautiful. So not, you don't want to forget that rule and other rules, because we really can say where your questions will come from. So do well to remember all the rules in your English Concord. Well, we discussed several other topics. We really can cover all of them here, but we hope that if you are able to visit your books, you will do well to remember things that will be relevant for examination. We had lengthy classes for oral English, okay, classes. We discussed all the sound symbols, okay, and how they are pronounced, but specifically we focused on the realizations because that's what is relevant for examination. Okay, so on the realizations we talk about letters, okay, letters that bring about a particular sound. Now, one of the questions you sent, that's the student sent, was I think okay, bisyllabic word. Okay, sorry, please. I think that was under stress. Okay, well then, for the sounds, if you have visited the sound, I think for vowels, we said one challenging sound you may encounter is your schwa sound, because it does not have a specific letter. Okay, it appears anywhere. It can take A, it can take letter I, it can come where there's letter I, letter E, letter U, any of these letters, any of these vowel letters, it can occupy that space. So you don't want to forget that as well. But most often you have it appearing at word ending ER or OUR word ending, okay? So that also helps you for stress. So if you happen to have a polysyllabic word, we've given you the rules, okay? But if you have a bisyllabic word, that is a word with just 2 syllables, and then they want you to choose from the options which word resembles the one given, okay, that has the same stress pattern with the one given. Well, one thing now that can help you is if you understand which of the syllable it has the schwa sound, okay. If you do well to remember that bisyllabic word and you know that one of the syllables has a schwa sound, a quick help for you, that's a good one. So you identify the other syllable to be the stressed syllable, because you want to remember that the syllable with the schwa sound is never stressed. Okay, so if not the bisyllabic word, then the polysyllabic words, we gave you rules. For example, we said for words ending in ION, that is the short words, it is the syllable before the shun that should be stressed. For example, we have education. So in education, the CA carries the stress, and all the words, okay, which have been classified based on, especially their what's it called, suffixes, okay. So please do well to remember all of these points as you go into your examination hall, and we are sure that you will come out successful. We hope the best and wish the best for you. Looking forward to seeing you smile out of the hole. Take good care. Bye for now.